I am the geek protagonist. And I've been wanting to do this video for a little bit, trying to gather my thoughts. My schedule's been really in flux right now. So I'm trying to get either thoughts out. Sometimes I'll make notes and stuff. So it's been a little hectic. But this is about that Nick Cannon. Sorry, my cat was acting up. That Nick Cannon anti white sentiment. And I think for the rest of this video, I'm going to call him by his name that I know him as, is Mr. Carey. Now, you would think that this would be one of the most career suicide kind of situations that you would say, right? When you demonize someone else's entire race and their entire being just because you're weird and you're being stupid. It was stupid and you're being racist. Now, I'm saying this, and the reason why I also put some thought into it is because of what Nick Cannon was talking about with his possibly trying to take his life, which I can understand. He probably got attacked a lot, so I kind of waited a little bit until it calmed down. I know I'm not really a big YouTuber or anything, but still. Now, my problem with Mr. Carey, you get let go with, for what I understand, or at least from okay. Let me start with this. If you don't know who Nick Cannon is, aka Mr. Carey, he's from America's Got Talent. He was a host. He has a music career, not a really good one. Creator of Wild 'N Out. He's a Nickelodeon ambassador. I think he had a couple positions there. I don't know if he still does. He was a host of A Masked Singer. He was in Real Husband of Hollywood. He did a few movies like Roll, Bounce, and Drumline, etc. His hero was Will Smith, but guess he went his own way, thinking he's something spectacular. Um, anyway, the way he was speaking when he was doing his rhetoric, he was talking with racial supremacy. Like, this guy literally came at Jewish people and was like talking bad about them, talking down to them. And then he started saying things like basically melanin, the more melanin you have, it makes you a better person. Now, let's be real. That's like someone saying, well, the less melanin you have makes you a better person. That's not right. Your skin tone is just a region thing. And people that are trying to do it, yeah, we have societal things and racial things and stuff that are very stereotypical, but at the end of the day, our skin complexion is mainly because of the regions, which that just could be from just living in generations and survival. There's nothing to do with if you're a better person or not. But he was saying things like melanin gives you soul and makes you more compassionate. Like, how, Nick? What magic spell does this? That's like saying that black people and the darker your skin is, there's no people with really dark skin that commits crimes or does bad things. Everyone does. There's no matter what race you are, you have good people and you have bad people. That's the way the world works, and it doesn't matter if you're white, black, red, green, blue, orange, or yellow. Like what magic is this coming from? And just like, come on, bro. And I'm like, listen to this, like, come on, bro. Come on, Mr. Carey. Gotta remember to call him Mr. Carey. But then he's like saying Jews and whites are savages. No, Mr. Carey, no, 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 no. He's like, oh, they're in the mountains and that's why they take everything and they do this and then they do that and they're just savages. And I'm hearing this and I'm like, dude, you work for Caucasian people. You worked with the Caucasian people on your shows. You're friends with Caucasian people. So you're telling them all you think they're nothing but a bunch of savages? And it's crazy to me. So all he's doing while he's talking is just speaking of this anti-Semitic stuff, and I'm like, what is this? And lack of pigment is lack of compassion. And that's your words, Mr. Carey, a straight up quote. So then as I'm listening to him, I'm like, okay, did he convert to becoming this thing called a black Israelite? And I'm just trying to keep up because everything he was saying is what the black Israelite guys say, where they're like, we're the true Hebrews and everybody else is bad and all this other stuff, even though it's been disproven time and time again with things. Not trying to come at your religion or anything. You can believe whatever you want. Just saying the stuff that they claim has been disproven time and time again, like scientifically on regions and for the regions of what they're saying they are. So yeah. And he was saying stuff like your intelligence is run by your skin pigment, like your race equals your IQ, and of course, gotta remember that there. And of course, this has been disproven like a long time ago that your race does not have to do with your IQ. That your brain is not your skin tone. But then, like he said, Jews and white people are closer to animals and savages. Like, okay, so let me give you a quick little background, and I'm speaking very, trying to speak very calmly, not put a lot of emotion into it, because it actually agitates me even talking about this. I have a niece who I love to death, and she loves her uncle to death. Sometimes it gets on her mom's nerves because she's like, he gets away with everything because of how much of a bond me and her have. She's mixed. She's half white, she's half black, and she's also Jewish. Now, this little girl wears her emotions on her sleeve, and she has a really big heart. Um, Literally, I have another niece, and she's Puerto Rican, or at least half, or I'm sorry, she's Puerto Rican and black. So, and these are good people, good kids, everything. But to him, because they have that in there, and the sense may fall under white. So now you're saying that my nieces are animals now? I have friends who are Jewish. Like, how dare you, Mr. Carey? How dare you say that about anyone? Like, who are you to tell people that? Like, you're not black and you didn't go through any of this stuff. You're disparaging people who were exterminated, who are also slaves. A huge amount of them, and you're just calling them trash. So my nieces are now not great good people, and they don't do what they have to do because they don't follow your stupid guidelines because of their pigmentation, because they're lighter skinned. No, Mr. Carey. And then you got people like Deshaun Jackson saying anti-Jewish stuff and all this, and you got I heard the Ice Cube said something. I like Ice Cube, and they're turning around and like he's saying stuff like I think Deshaun Jackson was like quoting one. And I'm like, no. If you're sitting there and you're condemning people for their belief or their race, then you're doing exactly what you always claim that people that are Caucasian are doing, or that the system is doing, this systemic racism. You're doing that. You're doing the exact same thing to another people. And that's not right. You shouldn't be talking down to these people like they haven't gone through their stuff too. Just like black people have gone through their stuff. And then Nick Cannon literally sits there and says something like, you can't be anti Semitic if we are the Semitic. You're racist, you idiot. A black person can hold another person down. Black people do this, and he's acting like black people don't. There is a thing where light skinned people and darker skinned people in our own black community have a thing. You'll see it in jokes. You've seen it in the past where it's like light skinned leader and dark skin. And as a matter of fact, even Grownish talked about it with the one daughter that's the twin who's darker than everyone else. She actually was treated differently because of the fact of her skin tone. That is something in our community. But you're gonna sit here and you're gonna try to deny that and it's like, oh, all people black are this. No, no, it's not. And I love how his openly racist comments are kept on YouTube, by the way. And then I was thinking about it. I'm like, wait, isn't that against the platform standards? When you're doing, I guess they could call hate speech? Just saying. Now, I remember watching a situation with Terry Crews, and I can't believe I'm saying this. When he made a commentary, and a lot of people were mad at him about Black Lives Matter, but then he said something like, Black Lives Matter doesn't mean Black Lives Better. And Terry Crews, I like the guy, but he says some stupid stuff like defund Pornhub. How do you defund a subscription service? Weird crap like that. And I'm mad because what you're doing, Nick Cannon, talking about how black people are better than everyone else, if anyone of a lighter skin tone or less melanin are not as great as black people, that's exactly what he's talking about. You're now trying to say that black lives are better. How do you miss that? And it's like I see like a lot of people that were supporting him. Some people weren't. I know Whoopi wasn't, and I know The View, but how are there people just supporting it? It's like, yeah, we're better. So these people, once again, they're like a bunch of these people are supporting him and saying, talking about this whole, well, no, you're trying to impede on his freedom of speech because, he was getting fired by Viacom and stuff. Yeah, because basically he violated Viacom's like stuff, and Viacom's like, no, we're not dealing with this. So he lost a lot of his checks. And then there's people going, well, it's his freedom of speech, and he's allowed to say these things, and he should be able to say it. These are the same people, and you can check because I looked at a few of them, who bring up 10 and 15-year-old tweets from a different time when certain things were okay to say, and they're turning around going, no. And they do the full cancel dance, and no, we found this old tweet like what they did with Kevin Hart, where they're like, no, you have to apologize for something. Well, in 2008, that joke was fine. It doesn't matter. It's 2020 or 2019. You need to apologize for it now. I did apologize for it then. Not good enough. Like, no, you can't sit there, you hypocrites, and go from, hey, I'm going to do this to, hey, free speech. No, be consistent. Because then you run into the next thing. Because I want to point out something here about the system and something I see wrong. Okay, so let's talk about Roseanne. I don't agree with what she said when she did the whole calling a person a monkey thing, right? But Nick Cannon called a whole section of humans animals and savages. She says something as an insult, trying to be funny, calling a person a monkey as a person of color. But I think she meant more of the mentality. But even then, it still came off as a Caucasian woman saying something to a black woman with a slur that has been used to be racist. And she loses money. She loses her show. She loses her producing credits. She loses her starring role. She hasn't really had much sense. Besides, I think she might start a radio show maybe. And she like lost friends over this. While Nick Cannon went off the deep end, and people are like, it's okay. There's even a comedian. I forgot the dude's name right now. Really funny dude. He's known very much around the black community. He's married to a black woman. He's like, look, I don't know what Nick is doing right now, but it's Nick. And I'm like, dog, so you're not gonna call him out? He's like, nah, he's my boy. I just don't know. Maybe he's going through stuff. But this whole real Hebrew and Egyptian stuff is going around. So then what you're it's funny because what you're saying is black people, I want you to think about this. If you're saying that everyone's superior, black is superior, and that's that Hebrew mindset, we're the Egyptians, we were running everything, and we were doing all this stuff, and we were the best in the world, and the best, better than everyone else, right? So what you're saying is the black people who, by the way, enslaved themselves longer than the 400 years that happened in America. A lot of people seem to forget that. That is African history. But somehow during this time, we were all kings and queens, all of us. We were also the smartest people on the planet, the brightest people on the planet, yet a lower tech, lower intelligent people got us, destroyed it all, took over, and then while it was being built, redestroyed it all even more. How? Not even going further to the point, mind you, to be then ruled over by those same people who are lower tech, lower this, lower that. So that's why that doesn't make sense. You have separate countries, but you're sitting there saying that these people who had the new tech and everything, these lower intelligent people, these lower things, like the mindset doesn't make sense. And there's a lot of people that are black that talk about that, and they're like, we were all kings. No, we weren't. There were kings and kingdoms. As a matter of fact, mentioning Egypt, I don't remember what it's called right now, but I remember learning in history there was a kingdom in Africa that was even stronger than Egypt. But Egypt had a lot of things with the world, like Caesar and different stuff. They had a lot of infiltration, so theirs didn't fade away because they worked with a lot of people. Now, I personally feel what Mr. Kerry has said was malicious and wrong, and flat out, it was racist. Like saying something like, now because he's got melanin, and yet these people did not 100% cancel him. So Viacom did can him, like I said, after he refused to apologize for the supremacy and anti-Semitic comments. And for what I understand, he's still the chairman for Teen Nick. That's what it is, and the Nick Cannon morning thing. Now he's trying to sue them for wilding out, which makes no sense, because he sold that to them. Now he did apologize to a degree, but then said his community turned his back on him and made him consider taking his own life. Now, I'm going to say this right now. That is not something to play with. If he's feeling that way, then he for real needs help. And in that aspect, I do feel sympathy for him. And as a person who has someone in his life, um, and for anyone who's known that loss or experience when someone takes themselves out of this world, it's a terrible feeling and it affects everyone. There are people who permanently get affected by this. There's people in my family dealing with situation. They've never been the same again afterwards. It's it's not something I take lightly, and that's why I took this time to really try to think this through. And I'm trying to be calm because I don't want to be that pile on. But then he's now doing videos where he's showing himself as a victim of the police and police brutality with his head on the pavement while knee is on his neck with lyrics about white wife and face curb stuff. And there's a lot of people like, I don't want to hear that because the problem is, first, he got a certain section of people riled up, like, yes, yes, tell it, be racist, be this. And then when he kind of apologized and changed his tune a little, especially towards the Jewish community, then it was like, nah, you fake, you're this. And he was talking to some people, but so apparently, since he's apologized, now people are like, let the white people run you, white people run you, Jews distract you. I think I saw a thing where it says the problem is like you're fake or something. The real problem is that when you're making things and it becomes race related and you're picking a side, Someone's going to turn on you the other way, especially if you veer off what they would consider that path. But now he's saying stuff like he's staying woke and going and saying things like I'm going into all my third eye. And as long as you make it a black or white, uh, or like a, and I'm now this is me talking. As long as you make it like black or white or a verse us versus them kind of situation instead of we the people versus the oppressors, it will never stop. Now Fox didn't drop him, and Diddy did say something about a thing called Revolt, which is like a black owned. I don't know what that is. Apparently Fox said they wanted to show support for the BLM and for the situation. Now, in conclusion, like I said, I have a niece who I deeply love. I love all my nieces and nephews. Um, she knows her uncle will protect her. She knows her uncle will be there for her. This is something she even talked to her mom about. And she's young. She's under the age of 10. So when Mr. Carey sits there and says this about Jews and savages and less melanin because she's much lighter skinned because she's mixed, I take that personally because you're talking about people who I love and care about. And in all honesty, Mr. Carey, that makes you trash. You're garbage for what you said and what you did. If I ever get famous and I get to meet you, I'm gonna have a conversation with you. And I'm gonna let you know exactly how I feel about it. And I don't care how much money or who you think you are. At the end of the day, you cut me, I cut you, we both bleed red. So I don't care about your status. What you did was garbage and it was terrible. And that makes you actually a very bad person because you don't even have remorse about it or wherewithal to even care. And the other thing that really agitates me about this whole situation, if you took a straight white male, solid, right? And he said the same exact opposite. And he said all those things, but imagine that male said, the less melanin you have, the better you are. Black people are savages. The darker your skin, there's this. That's why they were enslaved. And all these different kind of things. He would be every show that that guy gets would be canceled. Everything you'd be done. Twitter would have ripped him apart. Everyone would have jumped all over him except for, of course, the alt right and all this stuff. It would have been a different reaction, and that's the hypocrisy that I can't stand. That's the part that bothers me. It was the same thing when Brie Larson said the thing about I don't care about what a 40-year-old white dude has to say about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for you. Yes, it was because that's their job. When you, I want to make something perfectly clear. When you exclude someone from a conversation or from a situation or from anything because of the color of their skin, their age, their status in life, that's a form of prejudice. She what she was saying, I understand what she was trying to get to, but sitting there saying you don't want to hear what a 40-year-old white dude has to say because it wasn't made for you. Okay, well, that's why the movie flopped. And don't get me wrong, I like Ava DuVernay actually. Um, I think she's very talented. This is not a come at. This is just a point I'm making. You can't sit there and say that. And there's people, I've had arguments with people and they were white knighting for her, like, no, you don't understand. And I'm like, no, you're not understanding. When you sit there and you say, I don't want to hear what you have to say because of the color of your skin. I need people to understand this. When you say things like that, that's bad. You're going backwards. I don't care what color that person's skin is. When you say, I don't want to hear you because of how old you are, things like that, that's prejudice. And the fact that Nick Cannon didn't get canceled like a lot of these other people did, he got semi, that shows me a lot. That's not right. He didn't apologize. He doesn't have remorse. He only apologized for one section. He doesn't have remorse for what he said. He insulted people in my own family. So that's all I really have to say about that. This is the calmest I've been mowing this over for a few weeks to be calm because I didn't want to yell or do anything, especially because he's a father and I don't want anything to happen to him because of a pile on. But it needs to be talked about because he did put it out in the public in the ether. Nick Cannon, you need to reevaluate your situation because someone needs to talk to you because you have friends and stuff. I think it's Gary Owens is the comedian. Like saying things about him. Why is he a savage? He married a black woman, have mixed kids. He seems like a really nice guy. He's very funny and talented, and he cares. But who knows? That's my thoughts. I don't like it. I think it's racist. I think it's messed up, and I think he needs to talk to. I'm not saying I want people to lose their jobs, but I did use some examples here to show what happens when a person of an opposite race says something and how they get annihilated, but Nick Cannon did not. And for a guy who seems to always fluctuate down on his talent, especially when he's doing that video showing a Neil, I'm like, to me, you were just pandering and aggravating. Why did you need to do, like, you didn't need to do that. We didn't want to see that again. We've seen people make videos of that. That's not a thing. Like, let's do something else. But he's always, I felt like Nick Cannon's always trying to fit in. I know some people are probably gonna be like, no, 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 you're not a cool guy to talk about it. No, he's always felt like a guy who doesn't fit in, so he'll like add stuff to himself to try to make himself fit in. And that's what I feel like this came off as. He's really more of a square kind of guy, but he's always trying to rap and everything, and it doesn't happen. But well, now it's funny from time to time. A lot of times, I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think in the comments. That's all I gotta say. Sorry, this ran a little long. Don't like it. Nick Cannon is wrong. This is the Geek Protagonist. You stay safe. You stay healthy. Stay real. I mean, wash your hands. And have a nice one. Hey, thank you for visiting my channel. This is the Geek Protagonist. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please, it'll really help me out in the channel if you actually share these videos. If you like what I'm doing, please hit that bell notification. Hit it, click, click. This way you won't miss any of my videos. Also, there's a thing on there that says personal and all. Hit the all. This way you'll get them every time for the notifications. I'm trying to, grow, trying to do commentary about what's going on. And I want to thank you again. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay real. This is the Geek Protagonist. I'm out, and I'll see you.